Right, buddy, I want to talk about Benjamin Sesko because a player who I've noticed over the last few games has really got involved in Manchester United's all-around ability and scoring, all-around performances and scoring 2 goals in 2 games. And obviously, with it being an international break, I thought it was an interesting conversation to have. Now, obviously, Benjamin Sesko came to Manchester United with a lot of hype, a lot of expectation, but also a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Obviously, similar age to Rasmus Højlund, with a similar fee to Rasmus Højlund. Now, you look at how he settled into United, obviously, with Amorim straight away. He likes to allow players to settle in before giving them any time to kind of play. He didn't play against Arsenal, obviously, but then obviously didn't play against Fulham either. I think his first start was against Burnley. So I think Amorim knows that he needs to give time for young players, especially to develop, especially coming from overseas, a new country as well. But you look at what Sesko's added. Again, as I said, a lot of pressure on him. £75 million signing, 22-year-old. But I think the way he started off at United, he was eased in. But in the last 2 games, against Brentford, against Sunderland, he had 2 very good performances. And the one against Brentford, it was much more of a combative performance. He wasn't getting too much play with the ball, but he was just fighting and he was winning his duels. And listen, the goal just comes from sheer determination and resilience to, 3 shots, and then he finally scored. And I thought his overall play, he was getting involved much more as well. And you look at the game against not Brentford, sorry, that's the one he scored his goal. If you look at the one against Sunderland on Saturday, he was getting involved massively. He was dropping deep to link up play. He wanted to get involved. And I think if you compare that to Højlund was someone who, again, just looked, not lost, but didn't look like he knew how to get involved in the game. And again, listen, it's very early on with Sesko, and you can't get reactionary. But I think you can definitely look at what he's added so far to this United team. It's a different dynamic. I think there's a lot of hype there. He can definitely score goals. He scored 2 Premier League goals already. Hopefully he can kind of up that. Obviously our next game being Liverpool is a tough place to go. But again, I think especially one thing that is helping him a lot as well is the players around him. Having players like Cunha, Mbeumo, Bruno, who all have a lot of Premier League experience, and also in training, players they have a lot of Premier League experience can help him. And I think that's something that he has kind of learned from as well. But he talked about how there's still a lot more to expect from him. Again, he's only come in. He said he can work harder. This is just the beginning. And I think with Sesko, as I said, he can hopefully become a 20-goal a season striker. And you look at what we've been needing, what we've been missing, a physical presence. And I think Amorim talked about that as well. You can tell he was in need of bringing in his own striker that he wanted to develop. And ultimately he's done that, or he is doing that with Benjamin Sesko. As I said, there's a player there with a lot of depth. No, sorry, not a lot of quality, and he adds depth to our squad as well. And I think that's ultimately something that you need as well. Again, there's a lot of pressure on him, but you look at sort of his aims for the season. You want to hope he can get 10 goals in the Premier League season, and maybe five assists. I mean, a 15-goal season would be good, but you don't want to put too much pressure on him. I think there is a player there with potential, with ability. And yeah, I think, listen, he's got a lot of scrutiny from the press already. If you compare him to Gyökeres, they have the same amount of non-penalty goals as well. And yeah, listen, I'm happy we got Sesko. As I said, my ideal choice would have been someone else, but that doesn't really matter now. We've got Sesko. He's a player that we bought, and I'm happy to see I'm excited to see what he can build for Manchester United. As I said, a good start to the season. Hopefully he can build on this and improve off the international break. Physical presence, quality, with a lot of talent as well. And I think talent is the biggest thing. It's all about now making that talent into something big and utilising that talent to make sure he can become an elite level striker. And it's all about down to Ruben Amorim and the players at Manchester United to help him develop, nurture him into the team. Because listen, we've all seen how young and up and coming prospects at United, if they don't work hard and they don't apply themselves and they're not willing to learn, then we can see how that goes. And I think Sesko, Amorim said when he first came in, he was someone who wanted to train. He stayed extra. He was obsessed with trying to train and get better. And that's ultimately something that you need to see. But we need to see more of it from Sesko. It was an interesting conversation to have. I thought he's done well in the opening games that he's played. Obviously, he's been eased in slowly by Ruben Amorim, which again just shows effective, great man management. I think if you throw a player in, gets an injury or doesn't look good in the first few games, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him immediately from the get-go. But yeah, listen, Benjamin Sesko, I think it's a nice conversation to have about him. He's definitely one for the future, but hopefully he can have a big season this season. for United. Hope he gets some goals, get some assists. But overall, I like the way he gets involved.